Actually, there are two hot issues, but I guess we can start with one. And one is that we have just recently begun filing or having clients file for Massachusetts tax credits, R&D tax credits, which we have not before in the 7 years I've been doing this because of some favorable recent court cases. There's always been a Massachusetts credit on the books, yes, but it's been so hard to document and to get basically or to sustain under audit that we haven't gone there. And there's been an easing up of that requirement, which is really beneficial. And the reason it's beneficial is that the Mass credit itself is worth up to 50 cents for every dollar of federal credit. So if you're taking an R&D credit at the federal level, you can increase your credit amounts by 50%.
So again, assuming that I'm not the brightest guy in the room, which we all know that already.
Well, there's only two of us right at the moment, and so I wouldn't actually go there.
Well, you got to give Rita some credit, and we're not alone in the room.
Well, you said guy, so Rita's definitely the brightest guy in the room if we were to...
So, how is this different for people who were, let's say, applying for tax credits last year or the year before? Is there any change for them?
There is. For example, you have a client in your own consulting firm that we've done a study for, and we only filed or had them file for the federal credits for prior years.
Right.
I just spoke to the owner of that particular company and said you could go back to those same years now and go ahead and claim this Mass credit. For certain reasons, he may just take it going forward. But the point is he was already taking the federal credit anyways, getting a very nice result, a six-figure result, and we were kind of leaving this money on the table, if you will, because Massachusetts, the state's Department of Revenue, the documentation standard was actually harder and higher than the federal. And again, there's been some easing up of that.
My assumption is that if this person is not taking the tax credit, that he doesn't see it as financially as substantial as what he was getting from the federal level. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
That's typical with taxes. Like when I get my tax check back, from my returns, I get a much bigger check federally than I do from the state.
Right. Typically, that's the case. But again, a 50% additional benefit, can be significant. Obviously, if getting a $200,000 or $300,000 federal credit, then you might have $150,000 of Massachusetts credits, for example. So
I always like.